Hey folks, welcome to the channel and welcome to the finale of the Feather Damascus Bowie. Where we left off, we had just finished heat treating it. Now it's time to do the final grinding and get a real knife out of it. This is the first knife I had the opportunity to use my new misting system, and I was really happy with it, especially here on the final grind where you don't want to overheat the blade and ruin your temper. I actually had a viewer on the Copper Damascus Bowie tell me that he didn't think the final blade was actually what I was working on because he didn't see me hand sand it or anything, so this is left in for that guy. Now it's time to do the guard. I wanted it to be Damascus to match the blade. I didn't have a big enough piece, so I took two of the cutoffs from a part of the billet before, and now I'm forge welding them together. After a couple of heats, I felt like these were solid. After I let it cool down, I took it to the grinder and just grind some flat sides on it so I could take it to the mill and do the slot. Here it is with the slot all milled into it. Now let's put some shape onto it. I'm finding that the way I like to do guards the most is do a flat profile and then just take it to the vise and use the oxyacetylene torch and then put a shape into it and then do final grinding. Now I'm grinding in that finger groove into the guard, and when I get to the handle, I'll make it a nice transition so that's really smooth in the hand. And now I'm heat treating the guard because I want it to etch exactly the same way as the blade and not be some weird off color. Now I'm doing the final grinding on the guard. I've got a 240 grit belt here. Now I'm putting in my usual scallops into the guard. This time I decided to use the 1-inch small wheel instead of the 2-inch wheel. Just the guard was a bit smaller and I thought that would be a better choice here.
Okay, I'm ready to start the handle work on this. I've taken my my block here that I'm going to use, which I think is amazing, but I've decided I'm going to use some spacers. So I've got black, white, black, white, black. So I think that'll look kind of cool just as a separator. These are G10. I've just taken a marking pen and just scratched them up on each side just so the epoxy has something to hold on to. And I've cut these. I've also scored this one. So I'm actually going to glue this up separately so I can fit the tang, just because these tangs are always curved, so it's easier to do this one and then do this piece. So I like to use these can't twist clamps. If you don't have these, get some. They're awesome. Link in the description. I'm going to use these, but you got to be careful with these. Don't crank them down too tight or you'll squeeze all the epoxy out, which we don't want.
I like to drill my two outside holes first, and then I'll go in and put holes in between those two, and then just play with the drill and kind of connect them, and then use a broach and file it out after.
Okay, folks, I've got my block now all glued up. One important aspect now is to square up this block with the knife. And to do that, we put it, this is a surface plate, so I know it's perfectly flat. I have a 1, 2, 3 block, which I know is perfectly flat. I'm going to put the blade on here and then take a height gauge. And what I'm looking for is the lowest point. See, if you can see it, it's there on all 4 sides. Okay, and then flip it over and do the same thing so that, okay, once you get the lowest point, then you can lock this and then draw your line. And then flip it over and draw your line. So now, I can grind to that line and know that the width of the handle is perfectly aligned with the knife, and it's going to be completely square. Then I can go on and shape my handle. If you don't do this first, your handle will not be symmetrical on each side. So that's a good tip, guys.
Now it's time to electro etch my maker's mark in the blade. And really, this is just a battery charger where you've got one lead connected to the knife, and the other one you got a cotton ball, and you just dab it in some salt water and then onto the piece over top of a stencil, and it electro etches your stencil right onto the blade.
The only thing better than making knives is your wife bringing you lunch. Thanks, honey.
Hey, Dad. What do you got there? You gonna share some of that?
What we're doing now is I've already squared up the handle material to the knife. I've got the guard on it. I've got it fitting all nice and snug here. Now it's time to drill the pinhole. Especially when I have a bolster like this, I like to put the pin on the other side of the bolster, and I usually only do one pin for this kind of construction. So what we're going to do is I've got some mosaic pin that's 3/16. I'm going to drill a 3/16 hole through, just touching the tang. Then pull it out, drill through the wood. The reason for that is if you try to drill through this, that's going to flex your drill bit, and you'll actually end up making this hole a little bigger. So definitely drill through it, touch that, remove it, and then drill through your tang. And I always go one drill bit up when I drill the tang, just so there's a little play, because you don't want this to kind of pull the knife away from the material. So let's go do that.
Now that I've got the hole drilled for the pin, it's time to profile the handle on the saw. Then on to one of my favorite tasks, which is shaping the handle. Now that the handle profile is complete, I'm going to start to taper it from the back towards the guard. And then after that, we're going to start to shape the edges and round it off a little bit so it's comfy in the hand. Here I'm just cleaning off the handle with some acetone, but you can kind of see what the color is going to look like.